Hey Internet, I'm Chris, and this is the place on the internet where I talk about comics, movies, games, and things I'm generally passionate about. One thing that LeBron James seems to be passionate about all of a sudden is comic books, which is a great thing. On Twitter, X, I'm calling it Twitter, and I think the rest of the world calls it Twitter. LeBron shared the fact that, hey, I used to like comic books. When I was growing up, where can I read them? Can I read them on my iPad? Should I get them straight off the comic book? Where do I order them online? Which I think LeBron is really media savvy, and lately because Bronny is in the league, he's been doing this dad thing on Twitter, but I think he knows where to get comic books. And again, he's really media savvy. So I think what he was trying to do was like, hey, I'd like some free comic books on my doorstep, specifically some Batman comics. So if someone could reach out and give them to me and, I could share those with my kids, great. And the comic book industry flooded his replies. So you had people like James Gunn, Jim Lee, Comixology, Todd McFarlane, Image Comics, Mad Cave, just about every comic publisher and creator in his replies sharing where he can find comics and sharing their stories that he can enjoy. And I have to say, this is kind of what comics has been missing. There has been, especially lately, a lot of great energy around what's going on in DC with All In and the Absolute Universe. You got Vertigo coming back, Hush 2 happening, Marvel with the Ultimate Universe, not so much with the Amazing Spider Man line. But there's some great things. There's great indie books with Ghost Machine, the Energon Universe over at Skybound. So it's a great time for someone to jump in that's a new reader, and there's things that someone could go to the shop, and because the movies aren't doing great, you don't have to necessarily be like, oh, like this is what this is based on, or hey, everyone hates the multiverse now, so no one's probably asking about Secret Wars or where they can learn more about Kang. So it's a great time for people to focus on what the comics are, the stories. And this is an opportunity that the comics industry has to really invest in sort of the stories, the creators, because I think the movie money is dried up. We won't see sort of that golden age of superhero films back, and they really dropped the ball with that era. I think there were a lot of T-shirts sold, but in terms of comic books, that was something that they failed to really capitalize on, and it's showing because now the movies have out, particularly Marvel has sped run the entire Marvel universe, and they're going straight into Secret Wars. And after that, there's no real big events that I think from the comics that people can read, and that's because they've neglected those comics. They've created events, sort of, that you can tell were designed to maybe be a movie, like Avengers versus Eternals or AXE, like stuff like that, did not hit on any level. You think things like Empire, and you can tell that those things had really they weren't going for anything. They were really, basic, run of the mill. And, sometimes they were decent, but they did not hit like a Civil War or a Secret Invasion, those kind of events that really built the Marvel Universe and the cinematic universe. And going back to LeBron, like that energy is the kind of energy you see around manga and anime, which get a lot of free press from people just sharing how passionate they are. You have people like Meg the Stallion. You have really popular people that just share their enthusiasm for the anime and manga that they're watching or reading, and you don't really see that with comic books. And hopefully, this moment, hey, James Gunn sends a box of Batmans and he reads Absolute Batman and he absolutely loves it, shares it, and there's more sales. And then obviously there's people, in the league that maybe share that as well, other celebrities. And I think what DC is doing in particular with they've had ads in events like AEW. I was just at New York Comic Con, which I think they dominated in terms of the comic side. If you went to a panel there right before big panels, you saw that they had an ad for Absolute and All In, which is really cool to see, especially alongside. Usually those pre-roll ads before a panel are usually big TV shows or stuff like that, or you would see for like a TV show. They have the Penguin going on right now, and you didn't see ads for the Penguin. You saw ads for DC Comics, which is great. And it seems simple. Hey, advertise what you do. Free marketing, like someone, LeBron James has millions of followers across socials on Twitter. So hopefully, when that stack shows up, he can post it on Instagram about what he's reading. And one thing that's sad about what he posted is that yeah, it kind of is hard to figure out where the best place to read comics online is, just because there's no straight like digital platform. Like Comixology exists, but it's a part of Amazon. Global Comics has been good, but like for newer comics on weekly, like where are you buying them and stuff. So it also highlights a problem in the comics industry. But hopefully, with this enthusiasm and the way things are turning around, I think in the comics industry, we can get to a place where, hey, LeBron, just go to this one place. Like, hey, if a manga fan is like, or someone that wants to get into manga is like, hey, where can I read this? I'll just be like, yeah, the Shonen app. Or, go to Barnes and Noble and just go to the manga section. Whereas even if you go to Barnes and Noble for comics, they just really have trades. I don't even think they sell floppy issues anymore. They used to, like when I was growing up. So, but I don't think they do anymore. If they do, it's probably only like Batman and Superman. You're not getting like Blue Beetle there. So, I think this is a really cool moment, and stuff like this highlights just sort of where the place we are in comics. And I think that's something to be excited about, and something, it's easy to get like cynical about it. It's like, hey, like this is just a rich dude, trying to use this influence to get free stuff. But, it's something that comics needs. Like, hey, like the only time like comics gets press or anything like that is like when something dumb happens in the comics, and then it's in CNN or something like that for a brief period of time. So to see something like this that brings the comics community together in terms of sharing, like, hey, King, LeGoat, this is where you can find comics, this is my comic, why don't you read that? And hopefully people are in those replies discovering new ways to read comics, new stories, because I do think right now is a great time to be in comics. There's some great stories, like just about every week there's something I'm really excited about. So there's hopefully something that LeBron could be really excited about. And hopefully he could save comics the same way he saved Cleveland. And what do you think? Do you think celebrities like LeBron James, athletes, people of influence should be sharing this? What do you think it means for the comics industry? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, and peace.